questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer?
I want no answers, I want them now.
Welcome to AiQ. the All-In Question Live Show with your host, Don Regal.
Isn't that a lovely name?
And Mr. Ramon.
You're famous.
Bringing you the most intriguing questions of the day with live call-ins.
Am I in the air?
And interviews. Are you ready to go all in?
Yes.
Let us begin.
Attention, everyone. Are you ready?
Let us begin.
Yes. We are back. Show number 6.
6 weeks in a row.
6 weeks in a row. We consistent. AiQ All in Question live show. Coming to you from Chicago. CHICAGO. Remember that?
Yeah.
The final tick. Yeah, it was
But
great.
over here on the south side.
Yeah, we on the south side. Either way, it was the citywide anthem. Yeah. But we are back. Show number 6 live. AiQ. Remember to get your phone call-ins. We got the number screaming down below. Also,
That means something's going on more than just the All-Star game today.
you know, they can have your whole weekend. Give us your Sunday for at least 1 hour.
Well, yeah, the hour. Yeah,
Just
do
1
that for
hour.
us.
Just for 1 hour. It's good. All right, now this week we are going to be addressing the Netflix series Malcolm X. Who killed Malcolm X? Excellent thing. Also, we'll be covering
The rebuttal of Snoop Dogg apologizing. Well, he's taking back what he said about Gayle King about, 2 weeks ago?
about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Really quickly, he came out with the thunder. Went out like a drizzling rain. Just bad.
Wow, drizzling rain.
Drizzling rain. Hey, you got to mean what you say and say what you mean. And when you say something, I know you say it with passion, you say it with heart, and that you were just getting something off your chest, and you were speaking up for a personal friend and whatnot. But be prepared to go with all comes with it. You got to remember that you are a multi-millionaire connected with the same society that woman works within. So
We definitely go dive into that.
gotta watch your pocket. You understand? Gotta watch your pocket.
Well, when you say watch your pocket, I guess in the means of what industry he's trying to dive into now, or what he's trying to be involved in now.
Yeah.
Because like when it's hip hop or something like that by itself, I don't think he would have been. It would have bothered his pockets like that. But when you're trying to do game shows and other things, and
Right.
other media brackets,
It went with the narrative. You're a gangster rapper. You can say off the wall, off the cuff stuff, and it'll be good. You smoked weed. You can talk about that. It'll be good. It's all with that urban society. Now, when you want to cross over into the rest of America, certain things you can and cannot say.
yeah, crossing over, you definitely got to sacrifice some things that you don't want to, in my opinion. I hated that word crossing over because it's like you're sacrificing part of your soul to me. But if that's what you're going to do to get some of that coin, then I guess that's what's going to happen.
And that's what he had to do. Yeah, he had to. Some people say sell your soul to the devil. He sold his soul to the government. He sold his soul to the people. Put it out there for everybody can see.
But I totally agree with you, as far as if you were passionate about defending your friend and you thought she was wrong, and we would have maybe said something different. We didn't call her a dog head or funky dog head bitch.
Funky.
But I can understand where he was coming from.
Right. That's what I said. I can see the passion. I can see all of that. I understand where you're coming from. You see all of that. And right afterwards, though, you had him apologizing. He apologized twice now.
It was twice.
He didn't just apologize once, and then it was other people who felt it was they need to get in on the information. You had who was that? You had what was her name? Susan Rice.
Yeah, Susan Rice. You are in politics. You deal with White House politics and everything like that. I never understood what made you want to jump into this. or I mean, you want to get publicity and then you want to act like you gonna send the National Guard over there where Snoop was at or something like that. Where were you at when all this other stuff was going on? Like, as far as like police brutality towards black man getting shot, killed by by the police for no reason at all.
Exactly.
And I didn't hear anything about that, but when Snoop said something about Gayle King,
suddenly.
now you want to jump up in the ring. I don't know, you part of the faction or something like that, in the wrestling world, but yeah, that's definitely.
And now, see, a lot of them attribute that to her being a black woman in power and having a white husband and protecting the white power structure once again, which Gayle King is part of. They all about protecting that.
That's why I heard so much that he reneged on what he said,
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, see, you like that video you showed me, and they explained. Oh man, Master, I'm sorry for putting my head over there by your axe and everything like that.
How dare I?
How dare I do that?
How dare I do that? I mean, you upset, and that's the thing. The narrative has now been turned. Now it's no longer about Gayle King saying the really out of the pocket things that she said in that interview with Lisa Leslie. It's more now about Snoop attacking her. And they tried to make it a male female thing. It tried to make it
what, a Me Too thing?
No, not quite a Me Too thing, but it is along those routes of them men attacking women, and vice versa.
But this whole thing was about a black man being attacked by somebody who's been habitual
attacker.
A black man attacking Gayle King.
Habitually attacking black males, yes, definitely.
And then you had Steve Harvey had to put his 2 cents in.
He did.
And
I ain't hear about that.
Listen here, Monique, I know you had a lot of problems with Netflix, but I ride with you. Because you pointed it out a long time ago, and you were telling us about Steve Harvey and the rest of the Get Along gang.
Oh, yeah, because Monique was definitely on point about Oprah and whatnot, and the issues that she's had with her. Was that Tony Braxton had issues with her, and her just doing what she want to do, and throwing people under the bus, basically.
Steve Harvey, all this is what he had to say. He was talking about he only agreed with Snoop saying that we are the worst against each other, and that's it. He didn't agree with what Snoop said.
Exactly. He took the white talking point and ran with that one. We are the worst.
Boy, if Bernie was alive, he'd be all up in you.
I don't know.
No, Bernie they had a rivalry going and stuff, and I don't want to say they didn't really like each other, but
do you think Bernie would have spoke out publicly
against Steve Harvey? Yeah. He would put him in check, And then D.L. Hughley had said some things when I really have high regards for him. I mean, I like his content about what he says, but I think he had mentioned something about they shouldn't have said this or they shouldn't have said that, or it's just a big mess. And like you said, it went from Gayle King saying inappropriate comments to now Snoop and what he said, and then having to apologize and everything.
Right. He has to Negro-splain and apologize for his guttural reaction to something that was way out of pocket. You had him say that, he had to think about his mother, and this woman is an older woman, and, all the things that you would say to apologize. But then he apologized again because, he apologized again because they were saying it wasn't heartfelt, it was a coded type of apology. So he had to go into another long-winded apology about it.
Ain't no way in hell I would have said that, because my grandmother, I know what they done in this world to make it better for me and any other little African-American kid or all the rest of us. Mm-hmm. They don't fit into what Gayle King is. So they would have known for a fact that I wasn't talking about them.
Right.
So I don't like that excuse either. It's ridiculous, man.
It is ridiculous. Wait, matter of fact, this is what Snoop Dogg had to say in the apology. For those who missed him apologizing over and over again, play that back for you.
Snoop Dogg burying the hatchet.
And see how they play it back? She gave some beautiful defense on this, though.
How do you know that?
Oh, there you go. Look at the black and white on the side to give it some more menacing look.
Yeah, man, that's real sinister right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I think they used to use that in the 70s on the posters.
Exactly. Common sense.
I didn't want no harm to come to her. I didn't threaten her. All I did was say, check it out. You out of pocket. According to the rapper, today's apology was inspired by his mother. He captioned the video, quote, "How to talk with my mama. Thank you, mama. Two wrongs don't make it right. Time to heal. At Gail King, peace and love. Praying for you and your family as well as Vanessa and the kids." I'm just expressing myself. A lot of people look up to me.
Oh, the explanations, man.
Back in 2018, Snoop Dogg opened up to ET about his theories on how your foundation can influence your relationships. One thing I noticed about people is that if you're raised the right way, you can connect with anybody. If you're raised on love, peace, tranquility, and harmony, you get along with anybody.
And that's what that was ET's spin on the whole thing, and what they had to say about it.
Yeah, I know they are always unbiased.
Right, they're so unbiased in their opinion.
Like you pointed out, the horrible picture looked like a serial killer performance or something like
exactly.
that.
The black and white to look all menacing, had the little stripes going and whatnot. Yeah, made it look real bad. Yeah, and you know, like I said, Snoop is protecting the pockets right now. You know, some people are like, "Oh no, it's the threat of Susan Rice coming out." Yeah, that was a bad threat. I mean, she shouldn't have been making that type of threat. You know, she had an army behind that type of thing. But in reality, the thing that would hurt her most would be at the pockets. So if you want to hurt somebody, you sock it to their pockets, and yeah, that's what he was protecting right there.
Oh, no doubt, because Susan Rice. I mean, like, I say, I don't care what you have or what you meant. Oh, you got an army. You think this guy? He ain't gonna say he got an army, but he got a couple people behind him too. I mean, he wasn't the only one who said a few things on Instagram and Facebook or Twitter.
Oh yeah, it was quite a few.
But I'm tired of this apology crap.
Yeah, man. Like I said, you have to stand on what you believe in, man. You know, because you get to apologize and nobody takes you seriously.
Right.
You know, and I'll tell you one person who didn't apologize for a lot. Yeah, I think you already know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
And as we talk about this Netflix special, was it a 6-part series?
It was 5 parts.
5-part series, 40 minutes apiece. Let's check out this intro for that.
We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
The power of this man's courage to say this stuff. It changed the entire trajectory of my life.
He was becoming a figure that transcended the Nation of Islam.
It was politics that really started the rift between Malcolm and the nation.
The white man is the greatest hate teacher that ever walked earth.
The FBI was definitely afraid of someone like Malcolm X.
What kind of democracy is that?
People had to start wondering if something happened to Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm becomes the leader, it's over for all of us.
And just then the gunfire went off.
Malcolm's death never sat right with me.
The investigation was a failure.
Asking who's guilty is a dangerous question to ask.
What is the real story?
It's in the history book. Leave it there. Leave it alone.
Elijah Muhammad told everybody, do not raise a hand against Malcolm X.
He didn't have to give the order. Someone would take care of him.
The FBI should have known.
Why doesn't someone want to get to the bottom of this?
They never had any intentions of seriously investigating that assassination.
That is my mission. I'm not going to stop until I get justice. Because the official count of who killed Malcolm X, it's not true.
Powerful.
And the content was powerful.
And the power, yeah. I went ahead and binge watched it all real fast.
Yeah, you and me both.
Because I wanted to take it in. I took it in as a long movie.
You know, it kind of it disturbed me, even though it wasn't surprising on a lot of things that I saw. One thing that I can mention is when the man was investigating the whole Malcolm X assassination, and he was asking certain black people about certain names, certain events. All of them were like, well, it's done with now, so you need to let it go. Why are you worried about it and everything like that? Like, they're protecting this whole thing, and that's what really sickens me, because didn't she realize what Malcolm was to us, what he was trying to do? But I guess when you believe in somebody, or should I say brainwashed, or when you got certain beliefs that's so deep instilled in you that you don't care.
Well, and see, that's the thing. You had people who were, once Malcolm left the Nation of Islam, you got people who broke into factions. You know, those that were with Malcolm and those that stayed with Elijah in Nation of Islam. And it was like, how dare you speak ill against, your teacher? Yeah, that's one of the main tenements of Muslim society, is that you don't speak ill of the people who brought you in, or speak ill of those who are giving you knowledge, who are taking you from the situation that you were in prior. Regardless of how many years have passed or so, there's this deep, heavy sense of not guilt, but respect, long-term respect that they keep, and you don't want to break that. So you had people who were hardcore believers in Elijah Muhammad and him being a prophet and his word being so that straight from Allah, straight from God, his being his messenger. So you had people who were willing to put in the work, quote unquote, to put in the work, and some people would be like, well, with that being said, well, I believe that that's who did it. The Nation of Islam did it. And even though you had writings from Elijah Muhammad saying, do not lay a hand on Malcolm, some people believe that, like I said in the clip there, even though he said it, he still said it.
But he didn't feel that way.
But I'm saying, he didn't say that. He didn't feel that way. From what I gathered, from what the way they presented the documentary, it seemed more like that Elijah Muhammad figured that time will heal and calm it down and things like that. But they were going back and forth with legal arguments, with Malcolm wanting to keep the house after.
Yeah, man, that really wow.
Now, see, that's the thing. I understand them taking the house, because just like at a let's say Catholic church, for instance, there's a abbot, a father's abbot that's right next to the church, and when you leave said church, you don't get to stay in the abbot. You know,
what are we talking about? Catholics.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying we're talking about religion here. You know, and that was all part of the church.
I don't agree with that because he's talking about, they gave him the house. What did Malcolm give you? Look at all the followers who came. Look at all, I won't say publicity, but look how much more that you got when he was out there speaking on your behalf, saying the things that you taught him.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't his intentions to try to profit from that. It wasn't his intentions to be popular from that.
Mm-hmm.
He was just charismatic. He was speaking on what you said to him, and he tried to spread that across the nation, or even in the world.
Well, not yet the world, not yet the world. Across.
Well, we're talking about the media. I mean, unless it was completely cut off from America's media. The world.
And and it was. It was cut off. All his speeches and things were really localized to the cities and states and whatnot that he was speaking in. Nothing was ever international.
Okay, I get the
understanding
that.
So it was really a closed type thing, and him doing that, speaking out, carrying the messenger's word, that aroused the attention of the government. The federal government. So now you have a two-prong approach, because now you got J. Edgar Hoover looking for this black messiah to come out and unite it, because he already had people on Malcolm. I mean, he had people on Martin Luther King already. He had people on other groups that wanted to do separatist groups to go the Pan-African route. And then here you go with Malcolm gathering a lot of attention. Now, Elijah Muhammad was always gathering a lot of attention. So they did have people inside of that organization.
This is what interests me about that whole thing with J. Edgar Hoover. During the 60s, all of this time, you still had the Klan. During the 60s, you had the American Mafia and everything like that.
You had those things, but those were American things.
Killing people?
That was American as American pie. There was no harm for that. Just a bunch of good old boys having misunderstandings.
Burning crosses. Blowing up African Americans and everything like that. Then you had, the mob. They were stealing, killing, doing whatever they wanted to.
Oh yeah.
And this ain't just me saying it. You can go to your local streaming service and watch all these videos on these different. But you want to invest all your time watching Martin Luther King, who was preaching at the time a peaceful, nonviolent movement.
Right.
Then Malcolm was trying, like with Elijah Muhammad, to build up the black man in the depths of hell, basically, from where we can or where we at, and try to maintain and try to be equal or do things on our own. But you wanted to put all your little agents, you wanted to the surveillance and everything in that nature.
Exactly. You have to.
You have to.
You have to. You know why? Because the biggest fear, and then they still feel this huge fear of the payback, the big payback of they gonna do to us what we did to them, or any kind of way. There'll be an insurgence from within. They learned from the lessons of Pharaoh and Moses. They learned that from the inside of your house will come the destruction of your house. So they always are constantly on the look for that uprising and then put it out. And to do that, they put people inside of each one of these factions so they can understand what's happening, so somebody can feed back to them. Then they start the infighting to make you fight against each other, because you're not going to focus on what you need to focus on because you're too worried about somebody else within your own group trying to get you. So you got that going, and then you just monitor them all. And if there is nothing there to do it, then you make up stuff. You take the smallest things and you amplify them. You have the letters that they sent to Martin Luther King's wife, Coretta. The letters that they sent to Coretta about him talking to other women and being seen out with other women and things like that. And then with Malcolm, you had it was actual information, but you had them leaking that information. To them, so that was showing up.
So we got a message right now, Miss Thomas. And I was supposed to put that on the board.
Yeah, put that on the board. It's in. There you go.
It'll take that time, and it's popping up on the screen so everybody can see it.
There you go. That's because the government, aka white people, were afraid of the white power structure. That's why they were spying on people, of course. And that's why I'm saying you have that infighting. You have to protect yourself. Straight, things are happening. You gotta squash it while it's still a smoldering thing. Don't never let it turn into a flame. Don't let that ember break
be
out.
Sharper, man. That's what really gets me too. And then Negroes always got to follow into that. Always go into some drama.
Because you were trained to believe the drama. Like I said last week, we are a product. We are an American. We are the original American product. America made us. They beat it into you. They Jim Crowed it into you. They servitude it into you. They made sure they'll tear you apart if you didn't obey. Therefore, this became to keep you safe. Learn this. And you had the mothers who made sure. You had some fathers out there that wanted to go and just, and women also, that wanted to go out there and just tear these things apart. They were trying to. But
something stopped them more than you had traitorous Negroes who didn't want to do it, who didn't have the courage, or no, don't do that. You're gonna get hurt or something like that, or
right. You had those right.
They're gonna destroy your life.
You had those the traitorous ones off of the heads, but then you had the mothers who saw the father of the church and get torn apart by horses, and they didn't want that for their children. Right. You had those things happen. So that constant protect the children, protect the family. We'll get through this, and then you throw the religion in the mix, and there you go with the by and by.
I'm sickly. It's sickly, man. If you look at every race or any conflict where things have to change, a revolution, sacrifices have to be made. Deaths will come. There's no way around it. And that's the ultimate thing, because like when Martin with the passive aggressive protests and things like that, you can only push people's moral compasses so far to they'll be like, oh well, that's bad, we go ahead and help this, that, and the other. Then you got people who have absolute resolve. Absolute resolve, meaning they will do anything it takes and get to where they need to be by any means necessary. So those are a few points from there. Another point of what I got out of the documentary was the way they had set up the whole assassination. First things first, when he went to the ballroom usually has a certain amount of police officers doing detail or something like that, or walking around.
Yes.
That day, it might have been 2, and they were far away from the stage. I know he still had surveillance on him by Boss or Bossy, whatever. There was some special group with the NYPD.
Right.
But there was no one inside the ballroom. And then we had the assassinations. The assassinators. So anybody seen the movie, or, if you got the first story about how he got assassinated.
Spoiler alert.
There's one guy who shot him. Well, okay, we'll go into the whole thing of a distraction was made, far as somebody yelled, "Get your hands out of my pocket, nigga," and everybody looked around and tried to calm the whole situation down. At that point, somebody walked up on him with a sawed-off shotgun and shot him. The movie shows that he was getting shot several times by multiple assailants with 45 other handguns, automatic handguns. Now, the documentary states that they had grabbed one of the assailants, the mob did, outside, and they were hitting them until the police came and they snatched them away.
Right.
And then supposedly they had 2 other suspects that they grabbed.
They picked them up later.
Right.
Yeah. They picked up these 2 other suspects later who were not at the scene of the incident.
Now, let's get the nitty-gritty about this. These were 2 Muslims who are very faithful to Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
They were known from the Harlem Mosque. So, if they would have went over there to the ballroom, they would have been recognized instantly and they would not have been let in. So we already know there's already some smoke in the air. It don't seem right.
Yeah.
So the assailant that was being beat up by the mob, his name was Talmadge Hayer. For probably about 15 years or 12 years, he didn't really say too much.
Yeah, 12 years, yeah.
He didn't comment on anything of that nature, anything like that. Elijah Muhammad died in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden he explains that it was 4 other guys instead of the 3 that they just pulled out random. Like, he admitted that he was part of the assassination.
Yeah, he never didn't say he did it. He was there. He did it.
Right.
He did make those shots.
So he admitted that the other 2 guys were not even there.
Right.
And
from the get-go, he admitted that. He said that from the get-go that they were not there.
Right. And then, as I mentioned, the Harlem Mosque, nobody, if they recognized you weren't getting let in there by Malcolm's security force or anything. What we come to find out, it was quite a few members from the Newark,
yeah,
Mosque in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really keen on being part of they were heavy followers of Elijah Muhammad. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
So they weren't really happy with what Malcolm X was saying about Elijah Muhammad in some of his media interviews and whatnot. And then, and if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Romano. I believe that the head minister in the New Jersey Mosque, he had a real hatred for Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Because he felt like he was trying to get publicity.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get in the way and just try to taking over the Nation of Islam.
Yeah. You had a lot of people who were close to Elijah, his children included, who felt that Malcolm X was trying to showboat and get his name out there, do his own type of thing, and then some of the things that were going on, like with most money gathering organizations or property gathering organizations, there's always somebody who's on the side doing their own little dirty deed. Some of those that are doing dirty deeds out there figured that if Malcolm X were to ever found out by becoming the next leader, then he would end all of that. And they even said that in the promo. It's going to shut it all down. So you had his children there was stone cold against Malcolm, stone cold against Malcolm, and they wanted him far, far, far away, and so that you had all these elements. So to the public, if something happened to Malcolm, this is who you're going to look at. You're going to look at these people. You're going to look at these type of things. To the point where they'll kill him. Now you have people who talk kill all the time. Oh, I'm gonna kill. Oh, I kill him. I kill him dead. Won't bust a grape.
Right.
But they're gonna speak it all day. They're gonna speak that so-called power to truth. But they. Given in the real situation, they wouldn't do it. So what would I do if I were someone who was afraid or scared of the rise of the Black Messiah? Now that part really pushed on when Malcolm was he was suspended from the Nation of Islam, and he went out to do his own thing, talk to others, and meet up with other organizations, because Malcolm knew that Pan-Africanism was one of the best ways to build a strong black backing, and I believe also reaching out with others, throughout the whole African diaspora. And the problem is they didn't want that. You had, at the time, you had Africa coming out of colonialism, and you had all these free nations now. So you had America and you had Russia trying to put their feet into all these locations. They wanted a stronghold. I was like, hell, Europe is out of here. We the new ones. So you had the Russians that wanted to give you socialism, and you had the Americans that wanted to present a form of democracy to all these different nations. Now you had Malcolm going to a meeting with these different nations and different representatives from different African countries, and telling them what's going on in America. And that was turning the attitude toward America offer to be with them sour, because these are our skin folk, these are people that are like us. And you're treating them this way only because they look this way, not because they're a gaggle of criminals and do nothing, to know withals, none of that, because of the way they look and appear. you treat them a certain kind of way. And so, you know, you have nations that were like, no, we're going to skip on the whole American thing. The ones that he were talking to. Funny thing is, though, people focus a lot on Malcolm X dying. A lot of those representatives died also. Those you had one, he jumped from a 40-story hotel room window.
Jumped from
he jumped
hotel.
I guess he mistaked the elevator for a window. You know,
that's just like Malcolm X's father. You know, he hit himself in the head and then he landed on a train track.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? The old cover up that it's easy to believe when, you know, back then when everything is in print mostly, and he's like, well, yeah, that sounds about what a Negro would do. You know, but. And reality well schooled and well versed about what's going on around the world and how people do things, either through movies, television, news, we get a hint about how things work. So
Netflix, I mean this was an awesome documentary in my opinion.
This is great.
Much respect to the guy who just took his time, effort, just his whole life to find out things behind the scenes about the assassination.
Yeah, he was passionate.
And he is a fellow Muslim like Malcolm was, and even the nation is. But I think he's a, is it Sunni?
It's more of an Orthodox Muslim type.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but, I mean, wow, the paperwork he had grabbed, he went down to the NYPD, he went to the FBI headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
He got all the documents. He got all the notes that they even had with certain people that were spies in Malcolm's organization and also the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I do want to ask you about, and I want to continue on what I was saying. He figured out that it was the investigator, and we're going to get his name in a minute, but he went and he found out that there was a guy with the shotgun, and they described him to being burly, dark-skinned black man, kind of tall. They described him to the T, everybody in the ballroom. Now, if you look at footage of when they had grabbed the one guy, Talmadge, and they were holding him, you can see the other assailant briefly coming out, and nobody grabbed. Well, he acted like he was trying to grab Talmadge too, to be like a smokescreen or something. So the guy investigated this. He went and he even looked up possibly who could have fit that description from New Jersey. He did an awesome display of getting notes from several people, or from, like I said, the NYPD from their investigation. He went to Newark. He was talking to people about possibly if the guy had any kind of involvement in it. Mm-hmm. And that's what was blowing my mind. If a lot of people were like, no, we never heard anything like that. A lot of them were saying, yeah, we heard about that. And they just looked at him like...
Yeah. I mean, it was your regular hood cover-up. Whereas, you know, it had the whole religious aspect to it, but it was your regular hood cover-up. I mean, this man, he killed the guy. You know, take away from who he was and all of these things. A man killed another man and went ahead and opened up a children's rec center, and later on became tight with government officials and whatnot. And you had the community surrounding him knowing he did what he did, and yet he went ahead and he was able to walk around, live free for all those years. And two other men for 20 some odd years were locked away.
We expect that from the government and everything like that. I just disgust myself. I mean, it's disgusting to me to just look at these people in their eyes and then they just, oh man, let it go. And do you know what you did?
Yeah, you have to be able to let it go. What it's going to do now? What it's going to bring up now? Well, it will expose. See, that's the thing.
Look where you at now. Still,
it'll be a two-pronged thing.
Look where you at now. Still, that's what it did.
It'll do a two-pronged thing. You know, although it'll bring information and light to what happened, it'll also open up wounds, whereas people will start to accuse other groups about these things, with the exception of the government. So it'll be a constant back and forth. Well, you were there, or you were there. Whereas with the government, there's nobody you can specifically point to and say it was this or that, because they're not going to acknowledge any of that. All they're going to acknowledge is that we tailed people, we constantly surveyed people, there was co and pro going on. Other than that, Well, you're not gonna say much of anything else. That stuff is classified. You know, you wait your right certain things. It's like you wait your certain ideas, but you see the redactions and the notes that he got. They were still heavily redacted. So the reports they'll let you get after a certain amount of years, but there are still going to be heavy redactions in that report that you're going to see things blacked out that you can't see. You know, so it's only like I think it's 90 years or so until unredacted files can come out to the public. You know, so
how long we got now? It's like 55 years.
Oh, we'll be long dead.
You sure about that?
we'll be dead by the time that go. But we have, you have children. Keep the eye on the prize. But one thing is this: no, you're not dumb. You know what happened. You know who you had people who had animosity. You had the government factions who were behind certain things, who could convince people to go certain ways and move certain ways to do it, and they went ahead and they did it. You know, they went ahead and basically filled the slot that the government needed somebody to fill.
It still, man, just bothers me just the way our own people were just acting, just like.
And that's what I'm saying. You see, you would constantly say our own people. You would never hear me mark those type of words. Our own people, how we would do this, because you are a trained product. You are doing exactly that you were programmed to do. You are doing exactly that. By government terms, you are successful.
You saying that off of their eyes. I know I'm a person, man. I know what I am.
Exactly. You know.
Going into this whole.
There you go.
I'm not a product.
You know what you are. You have knowledge of self. You know what you are. There are those who just go and say, "Nah, because of this, I did it." You know, and not realizing why you did what you did. Not realizing that you're following a constant programming. Break from that constant programming. Break from this rah-rah, oh, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And then some people, well, maybe we should do this because of that. There you go. What's that? What were we saying? That's not being on code. We try to constantly keep each other and keep ourselves on code, and we fall so far away from that each time because somebody has to bring in some little small thing that they're dissatisfied with. And want that to be in that. And anybody on the outside group, if I see that somebody right there is in any type of power control or whatnot, I'm going to address that person to help them bring this all down because it's in my best interest.
You know, I got a theory, and I think that as years and decades go on, I mean, like we talked about Malcolm being a black messiah, and then you got different, what you want to call them, leaders now. Just like we learning about stuff on our own and breaking things down. I think it's going to be somebody that they can't stop.
Can't stop how? Nobody has his back. If nobody has your back, I can stop you. If you don't have a strong backing, if we constantly separate ourselves from those that are like us because of small differences, oh, they speak Spanish, they're not black. Oh, this person's mixed with white, they're not black. Oh, this person's from Africa, that's too damn black. You know, all these little things that we've been programmed to say and think to keep us separate. We will never have that person. And when
I believe it's going to be a person who will make everybody wake up to see that all of this is just, man.
That person is you. That person is me. That person is every person who speaks on the truth. The actual reasons we do the things we do. The actual reasons we're in the situations that we are in. That bootstrap stuff is ridiculous. You had Martin himself speaking on the whole bootstrap thing because you got a lot of people around there, especially those, and I'm sorry to say, those who go to like the military and whatnot. You have, well, you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, you can get somewhere. Not if you don't have boots.
True.
Not if you don't have boots. And from the get-go, you didn't have boots, and you were told that you would never get boots. And they make sure that you won't get boots. They will give you the string. Hang yourself, but they're not going to give you the boots to do so. You had immigrants who came over here from other countries, European countries, got land for nothing in the Midwest and West. And you had blacks in this country who were part of building this country who got nothing and were told they can't even be around us. They had to be separate from there. And that's what, I mean, that whole, Martin's way was that maybe through empathy and sympathy, we would get along one day. Jesse Jackson, can't we? You know, the whole get along thing. You know, they believe that there is courage in the convictions of those good white people, and there is good white people. But remember, we always said the negative is loud.
You're right.
The negative is loud. The person with all the panache and all the, oh my God, you're doing this and you're doing that. That person is loud. And what's that? The loudest, the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. That's why you got the president you got. Squeaky ass wheel. He's on fire and he's getting all the grease, you know? So if you are not willing to reach out to those who can back you, because there are not enough of us. If you combine just blacks in this part of in the Americas, it means Central America, South America, the Caribbean islands, that's over 100 million plus blacks. We're only 30 million deep in this country. There are 350 million people in this country, and we're only 30 million deep. And you talk about effective change. Yeah, that will work on the empathy and sympathy of those who are in charge, of those whites who are in charge, who feel a certain kind of way, and it's only going to go so far. Because that squeaky wheel going to say, nah, this ain't the way, and they're going to put up the whole thing and have that whole power structure fall apart for you. So the thing is to make sure you have a backing, a strong backing, some type of economical backing. You had people like oh God, why is the name skipping my head? He was assassinated by Barack Obama and Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi. Yeah, Muammar Gaddafi, who was willing to interject money and cash into the black community, black society, by way of Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know, he was willing to do that, no problem. As soon as you start talking that way, number one rule in America, when it comes to the blacks, let them know that they are alone. Make them believe that nobody's here to help them, that they are completely on their own. This 30 million is completely on its own. In a group of 350, you're just 30. You know, it's like I said, you can talk, but you're gonna have to have somebody have your back. Or what they're now calling an escape plan, or the return home program that they have. You know, you got Ghana and Nigeria and other countries who are offering dual citizenship for African Americans and people from that other sport. Doesn't mean you have to live there.
No. I mean, of course, we mention this all the time. Yeah. I mean, so we've been on here. We've been always mentioning that.
Always mentioning it. I'm gonna hammer it into their heads. You need backing. You come to me and you just like a fight. You come to me, man to man, one on one, and it's like, we just gonna fight. And then I start interjecting 10 other people. You're going to lose. You're going to lose.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's another point that I want to pull out is after all of this, you know, the documentary and everybody seeing it. Mm-hmm. So, I guess one of the victims, I call him a victim because he had to go to jail 20 years of his life down the drain because he went to jail for something he didn't commit. I think his name is Aziz.
Yeah, Muhammad Abdul Aziz. Yeah.
So, I think he was basically persuaded to go into the Innocence Act, which when you can prove that you were innocent after all this time, you can pursue it, I guess, legally or something like that, and then supposedly they're supposed to be reopening up the case, as they say in NYPD. NYPD is supposed to be reopening the case, or the district attorney is. Mm-hmm. So I'm fascinated to see if it's really going to be any process.
Let's see how that's going to go.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you how that's going to go. They going to go ahead and convict a person posthumously, you know, convict a dead man of a crime that he did. They gonna go ahead and say, "Oh, these guys, they didn't do it. These two guys didn't do it," and the other two individuals they can't find. So it's like, what? All that does is clear the name, and that's why if you remember the last episode of that, he was hesitant about it. He let him know. He's like, "I'm with you on it."
But what is it going to do?
But what is it going to do? You know, he's old. I'm old. I'm closer to death than I am to birth. So, you know, so it's like, and that's, you know, I appreciate him taking the reality of that. You know, what does this do? Now, it could wake up mentally and morally black people and let them know what happens to you, what can happen to you. It can do all of that. Or it can do nothing. And just be a you know, the Tuskegee Airmen type of thing, you know.
I mean, the way things are looking, and just how the mind state is right now, especially with the younger generation. I don't know if it's gonna do anything.
No,
I mean, not to say that there's not quite a few of them that won't, step up and try to, make things better or use what somebody else older did.
Mm-hmm.
And to capitalize on that, but we all know. Look, everybody at the All-Star game. Everybody want to go to the stripper party, something like that, and that nature. I'm not saying that you gotta listen to us, but
Well, I mean, this is the thing. You got those people who are the information for them is distant because they're not seeking it out, so it has to be thrown into their face. Exactly. And then when the information is thrown into their face and they want to research it, then now the information being changed. I mean, now a lot of textbooks are saying that you were not a slave. You were unpaid servants. You have things like that happening. So you have your Cheerio commercials with your blended families and all that thing. So you go, well, maybe I shouldn't stir the apple cart.
What blended families? You talking about the white guy with the black sister? I ain't never seen a black guy with the white girl.
Oh yeah, that one too. Remember Jan, the one with the little girl came and pulled the Cheerios on the black man's chest. And the blended race girl was putting the Cheerios on his chest, and she popped up. I'm about to bring that one up, but he popped up, and he's like, Jan, So like I said,
did Jan ever come out?
So you can assume who Jan was by the complexion of the child.
No. Did Jan come out?
No, I don't think Jan ever came out.
Like I'm saying, the white boy and the sister. They go show that.
Oh yeah.
They can emphasize that a black dude is with a white girl, but they ain't gonna show them together on screen.
No, they're not gonna do that. they're not gonna do that one commercially because numbers wise, it don't look good. It don't look good at all. So you do that and see where hold on, where you looking at this one? Well, with Malcolm X, here's Malcolm X talking about Pan-Africanism. You can check that out real quick.
Most people, when we say Afro-American, they think only of the Negroes in the United States. But they don't realize that 2/3 of Brazil consists of people of African blood, which means they're also Afro-American because Brazil is in South America. And in all of these, many of these countries in South America and Central America, and even in Canada, they are heavily populated with people whose ancestors came from Africa. So when you total up the number of Afro-Americans, real Afro-Americans, in the Western Hemisphere, there are perhaps 100 million. And if these people ever unite among themselves, not only is it necessary for the Afro-Americans in the United States to be organized, but it's also necessary for the Afro-Americans in the Caribbean, or the Afro-Cubans, the Afro-Brazilians. It's necessary for all of them to be organized. And then once they are organized in each place, we have to organize among ourselves so that the Afro-American in the United States will be working in conjunction in a coordinated program with those who are in Cuba and those in Brazil and those in Venezuela and those throughout the Caribbean, in Haiti and in the West Indian Islands. And in this way we actually get strength. And it's not an accident that there's no organization existing in the Western Hemisphere that's designed toward that end. It would be a direct threat to imperialism as it really exists, and to colonialism as it exists in the West. And one of the things that's going to help to bring this about is the independence of Africa. And one of the only reasons that we in the West have never organized, we have hated our image and our African image. And because Africa has been in the hands of people who have created an image of Africa that's negative and hateful. And it has been hateful to us. We haven't wanted to identify with it. But now that Africa is getting independent and in a position to create its own image, and it's a positive image, those of us in the West look at the African image and see how positive it is. We begin to identify with it. We become proud of Africa, and we become proud of our African blood, our African heritage. And this is what is beginning to make the Africans in the Western Hemisphere today develop more race pride, and as this race pride develops, then it has the tendency to make us want to unite together and work together. And your Western imperialists and colonialists consider this to be a grave threat, more threat than communism or Marxism or socialism or anything else. Africanism is what they consider to be the real threat.
Exactly. So that's the thing. They want you to fold in and become part of what this thing is. You know, you have people all day complaining about the American system this, the American system that, but yet you want to be part of it. You're part of it, and you are playing your programmed role.
Right.
So the thing is to realize that you don't have to. Now you're getting more and more options. More and more people are hearing about what's going on with you, and so they want to help.
But you know, with that, man, and I started to realize a lot of things, especially with a lot of guys who look like me.
You said guys that look like me.
Seriously, man. You start speaking on things like this, they want to cut you off and start talking about BS, you know, or they think they know better than you. It's always a showmanship or try to show you up on stuff. And that's something we go dive into in other episodes of what we need to do, but it's a lot of things we need to stop doing, you know, and it really pisses me off at times when you try to get a point across and, like, I don't know everything, and, you know, somebody can teach me something.
Mm-hmm.
But let me get my point across. And we got that bad where you'll be talking, no, look, let me tell you this and that. Well, if you knew so much, why are you in the position that you're in right now?
And there it is. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it is communication and the cutoff. And sometimes with the cutoff, you're talking about the same thing. It's like, is it a race to get to the same answer?
I think it is.
like, this is not a race. This ain't the race. We ain't the people who should be competing in this race.
And I swear I know a guy who worked at this store, and he just sounds like he likes to hear himself talk. And, you know, he don't want, or like, when you're mentioning something and like we talking about Africanism and everything like that. Oh man, the only thing I see about Africans is them niggas getting out them taxis and they stinking. Dude, that had nothing to do with what I was just telling you about, man. And that has nothing to do with what we need to do, man.
Exactly. All that is,
man.
Yeah, just naysay, gossip, and just wisecracking and joking.
And don't let a crowd or a small group be around. Then they really want to perform. I mean, put on their tap dance shoes, put on the tuxedo with the tails and everything like that.
And that's why I said all white supremacists ain't white.
Yeah.
You don't have to be white to have that. And that would be one of them. If you're willing to carry the water and talking points of them, then hey, you're part of that group. That is what you are. And then, like, you know, you have people who thought Malcolm was a white supremacist in a way.
What?
Because he was talking more peace with them. You know, because you had people who was talking to action, getting down, busting heads to the white meat of the white meat. But then you have Malcolm quoting Bible tactics in the way of thinking. And
Malcolm, or you mean Martin?
Martin. Yeah, Martin talking that way. It's just both of their names start with M. But yeah, both of them talking that. You know, we have Malcolm talking, Martin talking that way. King, there we go. Yeah, King talking that way. You know, but later on, King learned, and this is what he said.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months.
Yeah, hold on.
I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation. I'm not going to say that all of our problems will be solved if the war in Vietnam is ended, but I do say that the war makes it infinitely more difficult to deal with these problems. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a a fact of history, so that we do face many more difficulties as a result of the war. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. There is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction. And it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence. I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rate, so to speak. It didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on.
Exactly. Now, see, that's the thing. And if you notice, once Martin started talking economics, that's when he became dangerous. Yeah.
You know, and it's always interesting to me that you found that, because even our own kind haven't displayed that or shown that. They want to keep showing I got a dream speech, but that right there.
Yeah, that exactly, and that started off with I have a dream speech, and then 2 years later, this is Martin realizing, like he said, I believe I integrated my people into a burning house. You know, that was the big issue. Right now, we got a caller on the line. Zuena, are you there? Yes, you're here. Your voice is low. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That, I was just talking about the Cheerio ad. Only thing is, I don't remember them. I don't remember them. That's what Dante he was saying, that you don't remember seeing the actual white woman in that one. You could hear he was talking to him. You can actually assume that he won, but I don't remember them showing it. You know, and I couldn't say for sure. But yeah, those other two ads you were talking about, I've seen those. Yeah, and it also depends on the markets. It depends on the markets, I think, depending on where you can show them. Because like in the north and the cities like Chicago, New York, LA, you can show both of those races, vice versa, man and female, with either or the other. But then when you come to the Midwest and the Southwest, that's a no. Yes, all our commercials in America are marketed to different markets because we believe different things here. People in Chicago don't like the same stuff that people in New York like. So a certain commercial will be catered or adjusted for that group. That's where they have this research.
So it'd be cool in Minnesota to see a black man and a white woman, because we know about that.
Right within certain cities in Minnesota, but like if you go into the rural areas, it's no. Yeah. You're right. You got those people. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Exactly. And that's programming. That's the whole key behind television itself. It's to program a way of thinking, you know. But see, and we were talking about that. These are when you follow along with the whole thing, you are a well-programmed American. You are doing what they want you to do. You know, that you are forgetting about why you here, where you came from, what you are, what you were. You know, and it's to go along with this, what we think would work best. You know, and it's not. It's for fear of uprising. The American experiment is a delicate one. It's a young country, you know. It's a young country compared to others, you know. So it's a right, and they're balancing this whole thing on a pinhead. So so it's like when somebody speaks up too much about these type of things, it's quick that they'll get quashed, you know. Any of their opinions will get qualmed. We made it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I say. What we have to make sure we get that definition out there over and over and over again for anyone who says that a person of color is racist. Yeah, that. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. That mindset is thick. It's true. It's true. Thank you for your 2-piece.
Appreciate it.
As usual. All right, thank you. Yeah, because like I said, she's from the islands, and so it's the same mindset. It's just, it's the same mindset, you know.
Same mindset is what from the islands.
Oh yeah, the black mindset. It's ingrained into you. Every place that we were dropped off in this part in the eastern hemisphere of the world, the western hemisphere of this part of the world, you know, that training was built into you. Some of us pulled out of it a little quicker and blended in. Some of us separated, like in the cases of South America and whatnot, they got blended in purposely. You know, people were paid to come in from other countries to mate with the native people. Well, not native people, but the peoples there to bring up the coloring of the country. You know, really gross experimentation. So they've done that.
So what are you saying? Like, only I'm trying to get a timeline here, especially with South America.
Oh, you're talking about anywhere from. Well, hell, actually, the same setup we had. I mean, their slavery was going for them before it was going for us. You know, they had slave. They gave their slave freedom. Hell, they had a black president. Mexico had a black president almost 100 years before we had one. So you know, everybody was way ahead, and then we are constantly told to look down our noses at these people.
Understand? Yeah. I mean, nah.
You were like, oh my God, that Spanish stuff. Don't speak that. I don't want to hear that. And when I hear black people speaking that way, talking about you're in America, you should speak English, being so well lapdog programmed in that fashion of any person from another country speaking another language, when your language was snatched from you. And you can only speak this basic, broken, termed English? Come on now. And then you should never. You have no right to speak on somebody else who's speaking their native homeland language.
First of all, though, you can't understand it. I mean, you have to go to school for it or whatever.
Can't understand what?
And then, okay, I don't speak the language, but
you speak English? What you talking about?
Not English, man. Another language.
Oh no, another language. No. That's what I'm saying. You can go to school. Yeah, you can learn. You can pick up on your own. Majority of people who speak second languages, they pick it up on their own.
Understood that.
Yeah.
Understand.
And then there has to be a desire to do so. Now, if you're constantly being told, you don't need to, they need to speak your language. It's like, what kind of craziness is that?
Well, if you go to their country, don't you have to speak their
No, they have multiple languages. You have some people in African nations speaking 11 languages, including English. 11. Not 2. we think it's a courtesy to have some of our instructions in 3 languages.
Well, me and you disagree on that.
I don't.
Anybody, if I don't understand what you're saying, I think you hiding something.
See, this all said. This is the American way. Fear what you don't understand, hate what you get.
Look at me when you say it.
Fear what? No, I said it's American way. You fearing, not you, but you fear what you don't understand and hate what you cannot conquer. So they're either going to teach you to fear it or hate it. Break away from the fear and break away from the hate. From those things, understand that you are being programmed. Like I say, when I see an advertisement, I'm geek for the advertisement, the initial, because I remember the first time you always got to take it in. Take in what they're giving you. Like, oh, it's wonderful, it's nice, it's awesome. But then you watch it again, and you go, what is this commercial really for? And you like one of the weirdest commercials is the Matthew McConaughey Lincoln commercials. You don't know he talking about a car to like 45 seconds into the commercial.
Yeah, it's Matthew McConaughey, man. So
I'm driving along on this rough road, and it's a beautiful thing. And sometimes the touch of a woman is all that a man needs—a clean white shirt. You like sitting there going, "What?" I mean, you mesmerize initially because it's Matthew McConaughey, but then you going, "What in the hell?" By Lincoln. Oh, so and now you up there like I think I really need a Lincoln. I'm gonna get me one of those.
He didn't give me that bad, man. I thought it was cool what he was saying, but
yeah,
I didn't need a Lincoln.
Right. It just sweeps you into it's like what is he talking about? But that's what programming does for you, and that's why I encourage people to go ahead watch your news and everything through YouTube, but be careful because the way an algorithm works is that it will feed you what you like.
And I told you I don't like that, man.
Exactly. And so you seeing things and you're like, more. Now, that's not bad, but it's not bad per se, but it keeps you in a bubble. If I'm constantly in a bubble, a church bubble, where I'm just amen to everything I'm looking at, amen, and I don't disagree with anything, something's wrong. And every now and then I step outside of my own YouTube. This is an experiment. What some people can do. Go to your YouTube page, your account, and then look at the top things that they suggest for you. Look at this, look at that. The top 8, I believe. And then log out of your account and then just go into YouTube unsigned in and look at the difference, the stark difference of what really is being pushed out there to the rest of the world.
I did that just because of that.
Just because of that.
Because I'm like, okay.
And you see these things with like 80 million views. You're like, what? This is what the rest of the world is watching? Yeah. And it throws you off,
Just because I watch a couple of games or video games, they walkthroughs, don't mean I want to see 700 other ones. Just because I watched a wrestling match doesn't mean I got to see the whole entire year of Raw,
And you're right. And if you're not careful, if you don't catch yourself, you're gonna fall down that tunnel. You will stay programmed in a little world of your own, believing that the rest of the world is thinking what you're thinking.
That's the thing too. Like with YouTube, I always try to find different things to look at. Like you might mention to me about home improvement or something like that. I like looking at videos like that. I mean, I'm not just one dimensional.
Right.
And that's what it makes me feel like.
And if you're going to say, when you feel that way, jump out or throw a random subject in there. Just something that just came across you. I do that a lot. Just a random subject and just and that'll break it up a bit.
So let me ask you this. Is this when Google started or when they
This was more, I mean, that algorithm style started off with Yahoo doing that. And it's more just to get you to log in more time with their service.
Trying to make you happy.
Yeah, it was just trying to make you happy. And they are making you happy. But the thing is, they're also keeping you pacified. It's going to keep you past that, or it could do the other. If I'm a person, I'm all about, hey, I don't like the way these people are taking over my America. They're taking it over, and I put that in there. What? Oh man, they're taking it over. Oh, look at this video. And he also says, and another. And now you and the whole world thinking everybody thinks the same way you think. And you go out there in the real world half cocked. You go to work. And you start talking like this. They're taking over our America. They're like, Jim, you're fired. The hell is wrong with you? You're fired. What the hell is wrong with you? And they get rid of you. So that's the dangers of being in that whole church of your own information. You got to break out. You got to mix it up sometimes. And when you hear somebody talking too disparagingly about one group, go check that group out for yourself. Go see what they're talking about.
See, you're always learning here at AiQ.
Yeah, because everything is in question, and we casting it all. We putting it all on the table, physically and out there in the airwaves. It's a must that we do this.
Oh yeah. Oh well, man. 6 weeks, man.
6 weeks. That's a month. A month and a half. Shit, that's the first quarter of the year. Once we get out of this coldness of if you ever wonder why we wearing heavier clothing, it's because it's cold. It's cold out here.
Hey, look, you should have seen the video with Slim Thug. He coming up from Houston, basically regretting coming to Chicago, I guess, for the All-Star game. Because I ain't seen somebody bitch so much about how cold it was. I'm like, dude, go home then, man. This is what this is.
That's the reality of it.
Nobody sent you a telegram and told you it was going to be cold in Chicago.
That's freezing. We are a small city on the tip of a gigantic lake that is made of fresh water, which freezes and brings down Canada ice cold air, and we are at the tip of that funnel. Whoosh.
It's a small city.
Land-wise, we're a small city.
Oh.
Population-wise, we're big. But land-wise, we're only 22 miles north and south, and the east and west, we are about 19 miles. So
you would know that.
Only because I ride a bike. And I transverse that area. But yeah, we're small but big. We are the Windy City. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cold.
It's cold. So,
and hopefully, some of this access will be gone, in a couple of months.
A couple of months, some bullshit.
Make a transformation for you people.
You say gonna make a transformation?
I got to. When you're 30 or something like that, or 20, it's not cool. But hey, it is what it is. When you're 40, and then they, oh yeah, you got Blue Shield. Look at you.
The blue. Look at you. That's some mad advertising.
But it's true.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jeez. But once again, folks, thank you for joining us here at AiQ. Remember,
no clapping?
No clapping? Oh, no clapping? Well, I'll give us a round of applause. Myself. Gotta he said hate to say. I gotta cue up my sounds and noises and whatnot. But
we got. I'll let you go.
Yeah, because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it. Give you one of those shots fired.
February 15th, no 16th.
16th.
Yeah. Show. You tuned in, and I guess some of you late bloomers will check it out.
Check it out on the replay. Remember, you can also talk back on the replay, and we'll get back to those other videos. We do look at those in replay and answer some questions in there. So those of you catching it not live, you can get your questions and comments in there, and we will reply. And remember, we'll be checking in throughout the week. What in the world? Okay.
It's definitely time to go.
It is definitely time to go.
Come on back tomorrow. Next week.
Come on back. That was crazy. I don't know what that was, but it was something mad. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. AiQ, all in question. And we are out.
Now, how was that? Were you intellectually stimulated? Did you learn something new? Good. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And that's a wrap.